On my third birthday, my mother took me to a pile of rocks. A woman took out a blade, and I felt an intense pain. It was the removal of my genitalia. The environment was full of bacteria, and there was no anesthesia. This is female genital mutilation in Africa. When I was in unbearable pain, my mother simply walked away, leaving me all alone. I lost consciousness. The next day, I miraculously woke up. That's when my mother finally took me back home. And so, I grew up. But when I was 12, my father decided to marry me off to a 60-year-old man. I didn't want to live the rest of my life this way, so I ran away that night. I ran madly across the desert. When I was hungry, I ate leaves. When I was tired, I slept on the ground. Finally, I found my grandmother, but she said there was no place for me at her home. She arranged for me to get a passport, and then I started wandering the streets of London. That's when I met Marilyn. Seeing that I had nowhere to go, she took me in and brought me back to her apartment. She even found me a job. One day, while I was at work, a photographer asked me to be his model. I was scared he might be a scammer, so I just put his business card away. During those days, Marilyn and I talked about everything. It wasn't until I brought up the topic of female genital mutilation that Marilyn confessed she had no idea what that was. She had never been through it. It turned out not everyone goes through it. At that moment, my world collapsed. I realized it was just an African tradition. Later, I often suffered from intense abdominal pain. Marilyn advised me to get restorative surgery. I had been mentally preparing myself for a long time, and finally, I no longer had to endure the pain of mutilation. After my recovery, I went to the photographer's studio. Although the lights were blinding, I didn't reject the job. To my surprise, my photos were liked by many people. I even made it to the Paris runway. During an interview with the press, I shared my experience. To my surprise, the report caused a huge stir. The United Nations directly invited me to give a speech. This time, I would not back down. When I was a child, I said I do not want to be a woman. Why, when it is so painful and so unhappy? But now that I am grown, I am proud to be who I am. But for the sake of all of us, let us try and change what that means to be a woman. In my fight against destiny, I finally won my freedom. I hope all the desert flowers can bloom just like I did.